Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
Well, certainly not a dull moment right here on this Thursday. It was a big commitment day for the Gators, one through the transfer portal, one in the class of 2025. We will get into it right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. So let's not wait. Let's not wait much. Hit that like button. Subscribe right here on Gators Breakdown. If you're not subscribed yet, right here on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform. Either way, make sure you like and subscribe what we're doing right here on Gators Breakdown. Plenty to get into. Lots of good news on this episode. Leave a comment what you think about these commitments we're about to discuss. All that really helps us go along right here on Gators Breakdown. Your support means a whole lot. And let's just keep it going. Of course, Gators Breakdown Plus, if you want even more conversation, a lot of fun conversation with the big day it was here, getting these two commitments here for the Gators, extra episodes, access to that Discord where the conversation just keeps on going. Their link is in the description to join Gators Breakdown Plus, and you get those ad-free episodes. So, I mean, you guys know it was a big day, big day. For the Gators, fun day, certainly a fun day. It's Gator Nation's been kind of just waiting, of course, for some good news, and certainly got it here. Two commitments: offensive lineman Jason Zandamela, and of course, defensive lineman Jeramiah McCloud. Zandamela to the transfer portal, and McCloud to the class of 2025. In the trenches, trench warfare right here for the Gators. High. I know the star ranking doesn't say it for McCloud. It does say it for Zandamela, but I'm telling you, high level right here. We'll get into it. Well, I'll let you know why. Even though McCloud's only a 3-star. Look, guys, you know, stars matter. We all know that. We'll see how much it differentiates itself with the transfer portal and how that's changed recruiting and all that stuff. But, you know, stars matter. But can't just gaze at stars. You guys know that I haven't done that. While I have banged the drum, stars matter, rankings matter. It's not the case for every single player. I look at every player by themselves. And I tell you what, from McCloud, if you follow me on Twitter or Gators Breakdown Plus, you know I've been a fan of him for a little while. So no issue there. And you're going to see why. Yeah, you're going to hear why. You're going to see why. Big time. And then Zandamela, of course, we've been discussing him for about a week and a half or so, entering the transfer portal from USC, from the state of Florida by way of Africa, and leaves USC after a couple months, and now a Florida Gator. So we're going to get into it all right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. But let's start on the transfer portal side. That's the one we've been discussing the most. So Gator Nation, you know how we do it right here. When we got to commit, let's go with it. Jason Zandamela, 24/7 Sports Composite 4-star, on 3 Industry 4-star. He's 125th overall player in the class of 2024. 4th-ranked interior offensive lineman. On 3 Industry ranking. 118th overall, 6th-ranked interior offensive lineman. Even though he's the class of 2024, he counts as a transfer. So we'll get into that in just a bit too, but he comes into this class of 2024 for the Gators. Late addition, counts as a transfer, but he's still a true freshman. So another player on board from the transfer portal. Actually signed with USC in that 2024 class, but you know, after a few months, he traded that sunshine in California for the sunshine in the state of Florida. After checking out Florida last weekend, he decided it was the place for him, choosing Florida over UCF. Now, something pretty cool about Zandamela. Used to play rugby. Spent a big chunk of his childhood in Mozambique, Africa. So he's kind of new to the game of football, but that did not stop the scouts from noticing his talent. Started playing football during his sophomore year at Clearwater Academy International. And according to 24/7 Sports Composite, one more time, you know, all that, not being ingrained in the game of football like we're used to seeing going through, you know, Pee-wee and middle school and all throughout high school. Latecomer here, but still, one more time, 125th overall, the 24/7 Sports Composite, 4th-ranked interior offensive lineman, 118th overall on the On3 industry rankings, the 6th-ranked interior offensive lineman. So, I mean, not a small guy, 6'3", 285, played center for Clearwater Academy. And Andrew Ivins of 24/7 Sports. He offered here. I'm going to try and get some highlights up here of Zandamela. Got stuff in the way here. Don't you love when the live aspect kind of messes with you a little bit for whatever reason? My computer is I don't think it's frozen up, but it's definitely not letting me I can't get rid of the dock here on the bottom of the Mac, so I can't get. There we go, finally. So here we go. Like live TV or live production at its finest here. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I'm just trying to throw out some highlights here of Zandamela. So yeah, I think go back to where Andrew Ivins, what he had to say as I add these highlights to the equation. There we go, finally. But Ivins offered this scouting report, a former rugby player that spent much of his youth in Mozambique before moving to the United States, still relatively new to the game of football, but is quickly figuring things out after starting out at center as a junior for Clearwater Academy International, which has cemented itself as a hub for overseas talent. Naturally, squatty base allows him to find plenty of leverage, while a powerful upper half makes his initial punch rather effective. Shifts his weight well for someone listed at 285, doesn't have much issues getting east or west, also doesn't struggle to get to the second level and put his nose on a linebacker, which suggests that he could thrive in a pin and pull heavy offensive scheme. We'll need to keep progressing and continue to soak up any and all coaching, but fluid movement patterns, explosive hips, and prototypical frame. He has an 81.5-inch wingspan. That makes him one of the more intriguing interior offensive line prospects in the 2024 recruiting class. Should be viewed as a potential multi-year starter in the middle at the Power 5 level, but someone that will likely need a few years of seasoning before they are ready to go on Saturdays. NFL upside. So, yeah, new to the game of football. One more time. Going to take some time. But look at there. I mean, just already shows that mean streak there. And kind of going on to the highlights here. Going to the highlights here. Shows the ability to get to the second level. But showing, I like the nasty streak there. That's what you want in an offensive lineman. There you go. You pulling. That was a nice little pull there. So from the center spot, showing those nimble feet that they were talking about, athletic there. So, somebody who's only going to get better. And, does the lack of experience maybe worry you some? No, not yet. Of course, that's it for the highlights there for him. But certainly somebody, he's going to be able to come in and going to be able to not have to be relied on at all in this class of 2024, especially coming in late now. He's not going to see the field as a true freshman, and we know he needs a lot of seasoning, needs the coaching here. I mean, this coaching staff coming into Florida, been known for their development. We're still kind of waiting for that to show itself here at Florida. But coming up, that's what you should be getting here in a player like this. But it's certainly not the instant impact offensive lineman. Somebody we're going to have to wait down the road, but the recruiting profile is there. The size is there. Now it's just wait and see mode. And look, no need to rush him in. You don't have to rush him in. And now with Jake Slaughter there, just looking at Roderick Kearney sliding in. So maybe this is your next center at Florida after Roderick Kearney. We'll see how it all shakes out. But you're looking at it from where we are at right now, that would be the pathway. Or maybe a guard down the road. But the interesting fact here, and we'll pull up the next highlights before I get in trouble there in just a second. But interesting fact on Zandamela is he's the 13th player, of course, to join the Florida Gators class, the 2024 class via the transfer portal. But the interesting part here is, like cornerback Jameer Grimsley, he's a true freshman but added as a transfer despite being a high school recruit for the class of 2024. And, just because of how long they've been, not getting a release, and just a timeline here, especially for, Zandamela way down the road after spring practices. He'll have to be considered as a transfer, but still got the 4 years here or more. But so those guys aren't factored in if you want to go look at the high school recruiting rankings. But if you use 24/7 Sports, their class calculator, and you put these guys in the high school part of the rankings, Florida have a top 10 class in the 2024 class now. And we know the highs of the 2024 class we saw throughout the season going into early signing day, the lows of the 2024 class. But with Grimsley and adding now Zandamela, you're back to a top 10 class here. I think it come in at number 8 there. So, of course, ultimately not as high as we wanted to see in that 2024 class, but pretty good rebound in this new world of recruiting where don't start recruiting. Now, Zandamela is weird in the way of, if it wasn't going to be USC, it looked like Florida State was originally going to be the pick, if not USC initially. Florida State wasn't even a factor this go around, and then state rival Florida comes in and gets a highly rated offensive lineman. So Zandamela, of course, will now be joining Fletcher Westphal, Mike Williams, Noah Pornyagin, Marcus Maskell, and the recently reclassified Enoch Wangoy as freshman offensive lineman in this Florida's class of 2024. I mean, Zandamela, Westphal, Williams, Pornyagin, Maskell, and Enoch Wangoy. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 offensive linemen. And a lot of these guys are developmental. You're not asking them to come in and play right away. Not many SEC programs are asking offensive linemen to come in and play in the SEC. But guys like Wangoy, guys like Zandamela, not a lot of football experience. No Pornyagin. I mean, there's an international flavor right here with Florida's 2024 offensive line class. Very raw. Something's going to have to pay off down the road. Wouldn't expect many of these guys. Great size to them, but not coming in right away and being anybody Florida to count on. They get to grow, they get to develop, and hopefully we'll see them down the road. But also add that group to Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon, Devin Manuel through the transfer portal, and there's your offensive line class for the class of 2024, high school and transfer portal. So I like the pickup, of course, being able to, in this new world of recruiting, you just never know now. You never know. I mean, DeAndre Robinson, of course, he counts as a high school, but even, Florida didn't give up on him. Texas let him out of his letter of intent, so that's why he's not a transfer. He was able to be added to that class, but it's just weird the way it works out now. You've got guys who are only on campus as a true freshman for a few months before the transfer, and then Florida's the benefit here. Florida's the benefit. Coaching changes with Grimsley. Nick Saban retires. You end up getting him who, missed out on him the first time, but that relationship you built through recruiting him, you were the benefactor here. And this one, Florida, we talked about need for interior offensive linemen. Maybe going and trying to get more of an instant impact, but not necessarily right here. Florida goes and gets a developmental player, somebody who can pay off down the road. Peyton Joseph decommitted from the class of 2025, and maybe that kind of softens the blow here a little bit. Of course, they're in different classes, but Peyton Joseph no longer being in the class of 2025. It does seem like Florida was moving on in that recruitment, so this softens that blow a bit, but they end up getting a better player here. So, all right, let's go to the high school ranks. It was a big Thursday for the Gators. And one more time, everybody, you know how we do it. We got to commit, and this time, Jeramiah McCloud, Gadsden County, down there in Havana, Florida. Now, I'm being told that's how you say it. Not Havana, Havana. So there we go. If I'm right, let me know. If I'm wrong, let me know. But that's the way I was reached out to. Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, that's how you say it. They were getting out in front of him. But anyway, Jeramiah McCloud, 6'4", 285 pounds, I know right here, the rankings, the star ranking, the rating here is not going to blow your doors off. But we're going to get into that. I say do not worry. 24/7 Sports has him as the 501st overall player, the 50th ranked defensive lineman. The On3 industry rankings also a 3-star, 459 overall, 38th ranked defensive lineman. This past season, Tallahassee Democrat, all Big Ben selection on defense, worked out of multiple alignments up front, totaling 55 tackles, 14 of them for a loss, and 12 sacks. The in-state defensive lineman has been committed to Mississippi State since January, but then recently decommitted. Of course, before that, Florida was entering the picture in February, been gaining momentum since then. After receiving that offer from Florida, McCloud visited Florida 3 times, the most of any school, bringing his mom and his coach on that last visit. Things were starting to trend. In early April, he even admitted that a potential flip was in the works. And this was almost just a matter of time, especially since he decommitted from Mississippi State last week. It was just a matter of time that we think McCloud was going to become a Gator. So LSU was trying to get into the mix as well. So LSU, Florida seemed to be the primary contenders. But he did mention Georgia in that top 3 as well. But Florida, the Gators get this one done largely thanks to the effort of new defensive line coach Gerald Chapman. Big-time reviews here in this recruitment, to go along with Austin Armstrong and Billy Napier as well being a heavy hand in this recruitment. A big impact there. So teams such as Florida, LSU, Colorado, Georgia, Auburn, and USC, they all joined this race after his commitment to Mississippi State. Mississippi State, kind of set the alarm off a bit, and then the other schools kind of started joining in. And, of course, the in-state Gators ended up getting the commitment here. So, many of those programs invited him to their campuses this spring, so taking those visits, but it just seemed like Florida was going to end up being the choice. But so let's go. Let's share some highlights of him as well, because you're gonna like what you see here, big time, and what you hear, So let me get those going. So if you're watching the YouTube version, you get to see these junior season highlights here. McCloud secured MVP honors for the defensive line at the Under Armour camp in Orlando this past February, where he did not lose a single rep in the offensive line versus defensive line one-on-ones. He started camping, and that's what led to the more offers. Mississippi State commitment, and then going to this camp setting and just completely dominating. More offers started flooding in. So at Mississippi State, this is what you want to hear, getting comps to Fletcher Cox and Chris Jones. At the camp, the review of him was McCloud is a guy that loves competition. He was a workhorse on the field today, handling business in the trenches. His efforts earned him the most valuable player along the defensive line. Going hard is exactly what he did. Obtains and processes knowledge so quickly, has a quick release from the line that gives offensive linemen the blues. He's a magician with his hands. Here is what he said when asked, what about that day, or what about what he learned at that camp? He goes, today I'd say pad level, having quick hands, making sure to keep my hands active. So this is a part of that review. This is the kid who does not make the same mistake often, if at all. McCloud moved around well for 6'4", 280 pounds. This young man stood out against some very good offensive linemen today. Every time he took a rep, you could see pins going to pads. So people taking notes. All those scouts taking notes there. McCloud turned heads with his quickness and strength. It was hard for offensive linemen to stop him. So 24/7 Sports, Neil Stopzinski offers, from a Mississippi State side of things, big-bodied, muscled-up football player with very good length in his limbs and sizable upper body. Lines up on both ends of the defensive line at defensive end and 3-tech, and also in 2-point and 3-point stances. Comes in at tight end and jumbo and plays select special teams. Possesses exceptional big man mobility and athleticism. Gets depth off an explosive first step, placing immediate pressure on the offensive line. Flashes ability to counter inside, has a shock shed and spin move, as well as an effective strong arm on the outside rush. Throws a good punch off the ball, has an effective bull rush, operates at the point of attack with overwhelming play strength at times, can bully around bodies at his level. Needs to play with better consistency at pad level, but often can skirt leverage with power, motor, aggressiveness, arm length, and highly active hands. Functional with his arms, but also raw. He has his base tendencies without always stacking together a pass rush arsenal. Gives great effort in attack mode, glides to the football, feet are high and quick, runs like a linebacker, lots of juice in his step, straight line speed, excellent lateral fluidity, and reactionary athleticism. Sails out and sacrifices his body to make the play on the ball or rush the passer. Vertically explosive. Plays with great energy and juice. Visibly communicative. Team leader on the field. Dominant, disruptive defensive presence. The term beast tends to get thrown around in a liberal fashion, but Jeramiah McCloud certainly fits that description. This ball of excitement possesses quite a unique combination of physical and athletic traits. He has dominant strength, power, and explosiveness, and just a puppy in terms of his play history. His career is just getting started. He may not be a team captain, and many schools only allow this to be a senior, but he is the guy to speak in the huddle, fire the team up, and lead them on the field, which clearly shows the leadership intangible. Jeramiah McCloud is how they are supposed to look and will be a highly sought-after prospect in this particular recruiting cycle. While he lines up at both end and tackle at the high school level, he will be a disruptive presence on the interior at his next destination. Assuming continual upward trajectory in his growth and development, McCloud projects to be a difference maker at the next level with an NFL future. That was a ton of praise for one Jeramiah McCloud. And I'm telling you, just watch this. I mean, look, Huddle, I know these highlights are supposed to pick out the best, but you can see why. You can absolutely see why all those terms that were just getting thrown around, all those descriptions of McCloud, he's not going to stay a 3-star for long. He's not. And just the versatility here, as I said, tackle in. You saw here being able to stand up as well. He's going to be a versatile piece. McCloud could play defensive end or bulk up and slide inside. His versatility and Power 5 level size make him a very intriguing prospect. And he has said, after he committed and talking to reporters here, told Blake Alderman of Swamp 24/7 that Florida likes him to be able to move around, play inside on early downs, and at end on third down. So very, very disruptive player here. Somebody you want to see in the trenches. You want to see that mean streak. You want to see here he is playing tight end. Nice blocking here for somebody who has to play defense all the way. But, I mean, offers some versatility at the high school level from offense and defense. But, of course, we want to see him and just watching these highlights, just what he's able to do. And those comparisons to those Mississippi State greats. Fletcher, you get in comparison to Fletcher Cox here. Now, of course, I'm sure Mississippi State was excited about his recruitment. And, of course, we like to compare ourselves of when we get a commit and how they compare to Florida commits or former Florida players. But, that lengthy description there of everything he brings to the table has to get you excited. So, yeah, after, watching this film before, kind of doing some research on him in the last couple of weeks, because like I said, this was trending this way. I was really hoping that this would happen. It was trending. Good to see one that plays out. Maybe Florida getting out in front of this one as well. Like I said, expect the ranking to go up. But I think, we all can sit here, look at the highlights, read or hear what I just read about him and say, yeah, Forget the 3-star. Forget being ranked 500 and something overall. This is a good get. This is a good get. So with this commitment, the Gators now have 4 commitments in their 2025 recruiting class. Of course, as I mentioned, Peyton Joseph recently decommitting, so Gators back at 4 in this 2025 recruiting class. McCloud joins James Rickards, 4-star edge Jalen Wiggins from Tallahassee, Plant's 4-star running back Waltez Clark from Tampa, and Woodward's Academy 3-star wide receiver Josiah Abdullah from Atlanta. So there's the class of 2025 right now. Of course, we're in May. The next month and a half going to be very busy with visits and on the official visits on campus. We saw the big run Florida went on last summer. Don't know if I necessarily expect that this summer, of course. Probably a lot of wait and see for how Florida performs on the field. But a good day on this Thursday. Getting May kicked off the right way. Another transfer portal addition on the offensive line. We'll see payoff down the road. And certainly another down the road here in 2025 in the commitment of McCloud here. But you got to I think, what Florida did here for down the road in the trenches. And what they're able to put on this team right now. So, like what Florida did here, hopefully we see the guys down the road make some big impacts there for the Gators. So, all right, there we go. Getting you caught up here on this busy Thursday. Gatorsbreakdown.com, there's more there. Articles on these players if you want to go back and read on them a bit. But there we go. Thanks for joining me right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.